Hello and welcome to the Doctor Who Aftershow, brought to you by the Explosion Network. Fingers and Custard is the title of the show. I said kind of everything backwards there, but we rolled with it. It's perfectly fine. We got there. Doctor Who Aftershow, where we'll be discussing this week's episode. And joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Dylan.
Hello. Are you excited for this week's episode?
Excited as witch not getting drinking water.
I can't say I've ever heard that saying before, but
I know. I thought I'd start something and then something would come to me, but it did not.
So before we jump into discussing this week's episode, we'll go over the Christmas, New Year's news that has dropped, I suppose. So we're not getting, as we kind of briefly talked about last week, we're not getting a Christmas special anymore, and everyone was chucking a kerfuffle over that, of course.
Yeah.
You know,
outlandishly angry.
Very much so. I'm like, I had no idea that people cared that much. It's one of those things you're like, do you really care, or like, do you just change hurts people? You know, it's like
people hate change.
Something shocking, apparently. So instead of a Christmas special this year, we're going to be getting a special on New Year's Day. Don't know what time it's airing in the UK yet, so we don't know what time it'll be airing here either. But I'm going to guess it'll probably end up being morning time or something like that if it's going to follow the same sort of thing. Well, I mean, if they move it to night time in UK, because don't the Christmas specials usually air like Boxing Day night or something like that over there?
No, it's like Christmas night.
Oh, Christmas night, yeah, and then they come out Boxing Day here is the usual schedule.
Yeah, like morning.
So if they're going to do it New Year's Day night,
it'll be 2nd of January.
Yeah, it'll be coming out the 2nd of January. At which point, everyone here, it's like you're already past the first. It's like, fuck, the year started. Who cares about
old
New Year's
news?
Day? So it's old news. We're into
2019 already sucks.
Yeah, this special better be good. So Chris Tribnall is going to write the episode. Not really a big surprise there. The showrunner's writing the episode. Steve used to write most of them for his tenure, or all of them. I'm pretty sure he wrote all of them, if not the majority of them. When he was
pretty sure
from memory. It's going to be directed by Wayne Yip, who has previously directed 2 episodes of Doctor Who: The Lie of the Land and Empress of Mars, which were 2 Peter Capaldi episodes. Not really standout-ish ones, I guess. One was a Missy episode. The other one was a I forget what they're called. Mole Underground People, whatever they're called. That one. But he's also directed episodes of Happy and Preacher, which I find interesting because it means, you know, everything from family show to completely batshit crazy, R-rated television. So you got range there. The synopsis tells you sweet fuck all, which kind of makes sense because we don't know what's actually going to go down in the season finale or anything for this season yet. So the synopsis just reads: as the new year begins, terrifying evil is stirring from across the centuries of Earth's history. As the Dr. Ryan, Graham and Yaz return home, will they be able to overcome the threat to planet Earth? And my feelings are, it just sounds like a very stereotypical Doctor Who special where Earth's getting invaded by some sort of aliens. It could be good. Like, I don't want to judge it off that synopsis entirely, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like there's always something. Oh, Christmas, Earth's being invaded. That always used to be a thing. Like, we moved the date, we changed it to a New Year special, and it's still just the same sort of storyline, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you have any feelings? I don't really.
The only feeling I've got is at least Graham gets to the New Year special.
Unless they're lying and your fucking bullshit ass theories. And then the other thing they've put out with this, of course, not a trailer yet. They won't put that out until after the season. But we did get a picture of Jodie Whittaker wearing a scarf, which is very reminiscent of the 6th Doctor because it's the rainbow color type scenario happening. What do you reckon? What do you reckon about the scarf?
It's fine. It's a scarf. I guess it's cold. More interesting, it's got like an earring thing.
I'm pretty sure she's always had that, hasn't she?
Has she?
I feel like she has. I don't know. I know for sure. I don't know if it's that exactly because it's a very fancy. I don't know how the exact word you just
it can't be a thing.
It's
how could I only just notice now?
I have seen her wearing. I've seen her with pierced ears in the show. She has pierced ears. Is it that exact sort of thing? I don't know, but I've definitely seen her ears pierced, wearing at least studs or something like that during the show.
Yeah, but not like it looks like it's some sort of earpiece or earpiece.
Piece.
Like yeah, like some sort of device or something.
Well, maybe you're cracking the code here. Maybe you've got it all figured out. But if they release the date when it's going to air on ABC, we'll be sure to talk about that and just quickly mention that before this show's over. Got 2 more episodes, of course, after we wrap up today's episode to talk about that. But yeah, there's not much to go on. Wait and see. As I've mentioned at the end of last episode, I don't really care that they're moving it to a New Year's special. Still don't care. Still do not give any fucks. Are you just searching for pictures over there still of the...
Yes, there is pictures with it.
Oh, really?
But I don't know from the episodes or the like promotional stuff.
Yeah, you don't know. See, look, you're gonna have to go back and watch some episodes. I think you got to figure it out. You don't know what you're doing over there. All right, so this week's episode was titled "The Witchfinders," not Witch Hunters, Witchfinders, directed by Sally Aprahyman and written by Joy Wilkinson, sorry. Arriving in the synopsis is arriving in 17th century Lancaster. Lancashire? How do you say that word?
Lancashire.
Lancashire. I'm pretty sure whenever I hear someone say it in something, a TV or something, they've always got a very thick accent. So I have no idea how to pronounce
it's impossible
it. The TARDIS team become embroiled in a witch trial with the arrival of King James I. The hunt for witches intensifies. However, could something more dangerous be at play? Can the Dr. Graham, Yaz and Ryan keep the populace of Bilehurst Cragg safe from the forces surrounding the land? I'd also like to point out, I'm pretty sure that is the longest synopsis for any episode this season so far. Quite lengthy, I feel, for the synopsis. So, what are your overall thoughts for this week's episode, Ash?
Yeah, it was pretty solid. It wasn't like standout special, but it was a interesting mystery. I guess the villain sort of popped up out of nowhere. You know, the reveal is that she's they're prisoners that sort of came out of nowhere.
Alien prisoners trapped in.
It's fine, but it wasn't. Wish there was a bit more foreshadowing or something.
I believe they've done that sort of thing before, though, as well, where it's like these were trapped aliens of sorts on Earth brought here by other people. I feel like that's definitely a thing that's happened. I couldn't pinpoint episodes, but it's a thing.
No.
We'll talk about it a little bit more as we get to him, maybe. But what do you think of the most important part of the episode? What do you think of the King James I portrayal?
Yeah,
by
it was really good. It's really great. I enjoyed his crush on Ryan throughout the episode.
Yeah, that was quite funny. They played on that. They didn't they went heavy on that without basically having them make out.
Without him outright saying it.
Yeah. It was very much please come back and serve me and be my loyal save. Oh, hello, like
my guardian prince.
Yeah, my God. Yeah. I thought he was really, really good. Not like, oh, he deserves a fucking Golden Globe for his performance in this, but just he rode the level of hammy so finely that it was
played the part perfectly.
Yeah, it was just such a loud performance, but it wasn't quite too far to be silly or ridiculous, but it was still just very entertaining, I guess. Mm-hmm. I quite enjoyed it. I also feel like this episode could have been a lot more darker and serious. This episode could have also been another very dark, serious episode if they'd chosen to go a certain direction. But I think they dialed it back on some things and kind of left it for the viewer to think about if they want to. You know, you don't really need to, because here's the thing with the witch trials. It's a lot about sexism and, you know, that sort of stuff, right? They could have gone full in on that. They don't. Stuff is mentioned, of course, like stuff comes up, but it's not directly a big, like, in your face part of the episode. And I feel like they're like, yeah, it's there. Yeah, like, if you pick it up, you pick it up. If you don't, you don't. But at the same time, they've just got such a big voice and kind of comedic element when you've got Alan Cumming there that you couldn't have him doing that version of King James in an episode where you wanted to do a serious take on like the sexism and misogyny of the witch trials and that sort of thing. So it's fine. I have no problem with the way they went. I thought it was a entertaining episode. But it's up there. I quite enjoyed it. Especially, I mean, what really brings it all together is that performance, though, because it does just make it a fun episode to watch. Because it only takes, 10, 15 minutes before he shows up, and then, it's not like it was boring before then, but once he's on screen, it's just fun, kind of, for the majority of it, because of that performance, I guess. Still, my only big problem is that we get to the end of this episode and I'm like, holy shit, there's only 2 episodes left. And I feel like if we're leading to, if we're going to lead to episode 10 still being old Tim Shaw, whatever that alien species is, being the big bad guy of episode 10, like their alien species, if we're going to come back to that, which is what we're presuming, because they talk about them, episode 1.
I'm not presuming that.
Are you really?
Point.
You just
I'm assuming it's just going to be another episode.
You reckon?
Yep.
I'm not gonna tie it back. Holy shit, that would be something. Well, I mean, I'm still just like, are we presuming it? Because
or it's about the forgotten child or whatever the thing was in the first episode.
I reckon I was presuming the forgotten child thing is Chibnall's long play, I guess. The long his longest storyline, however many seasons he wants to do storyline. Because that's like, whenever it comes to something to do with the actual Doctor and history there, which that is, Forgotten Child or whatever, that's always the big, sometimes we'll spend several seasons getting it, blah, blah, blah. I would much prefer getting into it faster, sure, because, like, I don't know, I don't want to take 5 seasons to get there, and I would much prefer that. Sure, I'd prefer that to be the season finale thing over the fucking Tim Shaw bad guys, whatever, the teeth monsters. Because I still don't think they were overly very interesting at all.
No, really. They're coming back for the New Year's special.
Oh, God.
They got to defend the Earth from somebody.
It's true. I mean, it would make sense. Because
bunch of teeth alien.
They send someone down. The Doctor sends him back. He goes back, gets pissed off. The whole species gets annoyed. They come back to take over Earth. And what little information we have about them is that they turn up to planets and, enslave and strip them dry and whatever else. So, but at the same time, when it says Earth is being endangered, it's like, okay, it could be literally 90% of all Doctor Who villains, probably. There's no... It's just whatever, but... All right, let's jump into the episode. So, what we get happening first is they're leaving the TARDIS as the episode starts. Oh, also, I feel like this episode could have had a cool cold open with a kind of frightening setup of a woman getting dunked or something like that. With no setup. Like, it just starts, like, cold open, dunking, scary, witch trial type thing. Sets the mood. Dun, dun, dun. This is where we're going.
With the Doctor being dunked.
And then flashback.
24 hours later.
Yeah, could have. Fuck that. I feel like you could, yeah. I definitely feel like you could, but anyway. Chibnall doesn't do.
No cold opens, even though there should be occasionally.
Not on this show, apparently. So they as they're leaving the TARDIS and they're walking through a forest, they're talking about, apparently they were looking for the coronation of Elizabeth I, but the TARDIS once again kind of had its a mind of her own and took them to this time period.
Is that the Elizabeth that the 10th Doctor got married to in the 50th special?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not very good at my Queen history, so I'll just say yes. But it could be any of my royal family history isn't exactly tip-top up to shape. I'm ready to admit. But yeah, I mean, it's possible. Look, that would also be another thing of like, hey, I know, I was married to her once, and it's like, oh, that's funny. But there's also... I'll just mention it now since it's kind of leaking. There's another thing that happens later in the episode where they're talking about the devil and the Doctor's, and a lot of people have pointed this out online, rightfully so, of the Doctor being like, devil doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, all these people are like, you fought the devil. You took down the devil. You know the devil.
That was an alien devil, not the devil.
Like, who's to say what's the difference? The alien devil could be our devil too,
That's true.
That's... we don't know. But yeah, so
yes, that was the Queen that he married in the day of the Doctor.
There you go. See? There you go. Fucking
So why would she want to go? I guess different face. She wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah, wouldn't recognize. Don't know what's going on. So they don't find that when they get dropped off, and they're kind of wandering around, and the Doctor sees. But they presume they've landed. They don't really know what time period is the thing. Once again, they don't know where they are. Don't know what time period. Yeah. They see this bucket. Doctor's like, "Oh, bombs for apple. That's fun." As it goes over, starts doing that. That's pretty funny. Ask where they are. They say, it's Wednesday or something. We do this every day or whatever, or Sunday, like a regular thing. But they think they've turned up at some their time period Halloween event or something like that, I guess, is what they think's going on. And then a bell starts ringing, and it appears they're just in time for a witch trial. So they follow along to the river? No, lake. It's a lake, yeah. Follow along to the lake, and they begin watching, and there's this woman talking, about this woman's a witch, blah, 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 blah. But the important part about this whole scene is that, they're all freaking out. This woman's about to be dunked, of course, going to be killed. What do we do? The Doctor says, can't interfere in history, kind of have to let it happen. And then about 10 seconds later, it does just proceed to go, I can't actually stand here and watch this happen. And goes and interferes anyway. So what are the rules for this Doctor when it comes to interfering with history? You can let Rosa Parks... Rosa Parks can get yelled at and abused and arrested, but the line with interfering with history is that if they're not important, if they're going to be killed, is that where we're drawing the line? I don't really know where the line comes in. But then the episode prior, or the one prior to that, actually 2 episodes ago, can't remember the episode name, she does let their friend die, get shot by his brother, remember? So yeah, it's a bit flimsy, I think, is the rules we got at the moment for protecting people. It's a bit weird, but yeah. So Doctor dives into the lake, attempts to save the woman who's on trial, and drags her out. But of course, she is dead anyway. The woman who is in charge of the whole trial system then attempts to arrest the Doctor, but the Doctor holds out psycho paper, tells her that she's a general witch hunter. I think it was something like that. I didn't fully gather the title, but I think it was general witch hunter. And then she's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know who it is." Blah 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 blah. I like the idea of that's how they would have their things in the 1600s, just a little piece of paper that says General Witch Hunter with, I don't know, an insignia on it or something. Very easy to fake, I think, but, that's fine. Who am I to tell the 1600s what they should and shouldn't do? They then head back to her home. We find out this woman is called Becca Savage, and they learn that they're in Bilehurst Cragg, which is a city or town they all point out. I think Graham's the one who points it out. This place doesn't exist. I've never heard of it before. Isn't in the history books. I like the idea that Graham's the one saying this too, because I'm like, yeah. While he was waiting for those people all to get on the bus, Graham was reading a lot about witch history in his on his iPad over there.
Graham knows all his shit.
Graham knows everything. Yeah. So they head back, and while they're discussing the witches, what's to be done with them, asking what's the cause of them. Of course, Becca is like, it's the devil's infesting them. And Doctor's asking, what are the signs that the devil's here? It's just like, well, the crops are dying, blah, 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 blah. And then this man wearing a mask bursts in, who we'd seen creepily in the back of it one shot earlier before as the witch trial was happening. And it's the Alan Cumming King James I. And this is where the episode gets heightened by the very elaborate, amazing performance. Now, it feels so weird saying amazing, because I'm like, I don't want him to win an award, but at the same time, what a show. What a show. It was funny. So Yaz runs back down. Yaz doesn't come with him. Yaz runs back down to see about helping the woman's who got killed daughter go about burying her mother, who was the woman who got killed. And they're kind of standing around where the lake is, and she's getting ready to bury her mother. When all of a sudden the mud starts.
Her name's Willa.
Willa? See, I didn't get it. If you couldn't tell, I've called her the mother in all of the notes. Willa. Okay, I'll try and remember.
Willa's the granddaughter. Yes.
Oh, Willa's the granddaughter. Okay. I thought you meant the mother. I'm like, I don't have her number.
Yeah, the old lady's just called Old Mother. Twinston.
There you
Just
go.
according to Wikipedia.
Then yeah, it's just gonna stay as that mother. So Willa's getting ready to bury her old lady mother.
Yeah.
When the mud starts moving around where they are and starts bursting around, whatever. It's like, that's a bit weird. What's going on with the mud? That's a bit too squelchy, I think. What's going on here? So Yaz runs back to warn the others, of course. Then we cut back to King James, who is showing off his witch kit and torture items to Graham and Ryan. Here is the one I used to stick it in their signs, and if they don't believe they're a witch, all these sorts of assortment of items, which
relevant.
Is quite it's kind of items that everyone carries around, I suppose. Everyone has them. It's fine.
Everybody knows if you try and poke a witch in a witch mark, it doesn't bleed.
It's general knowledge.
It's
I like
common
to believe.
Fact.
Yeah,
and definitely not something I picked up from watching Sabrina recently.
Graham gets given the witch hunter's hat, which he then sports for the majority of the episode until near the end of it. And that's I mean, it doesn't really suit him, but it does make for funny television.
I think he looks alright in it.
Yeah, it's quite a big hat. I can't see wearing it to the supermarket on the weekend. Kind of.
No.
It's quite big. It's very loud. I feel. Not only is it physically big, it's also just the person wearing it then is also quite big. So then King James, he questions, the doctor also here says, and this when we get into the I saw a couple of people have put up good articles about this point here, because I never really thought about it this way, but it does actually kind of make sense, because how does the psychic paper work? It like people see what they want to see, or like however they describe it.
Whatever's believable.
It's like whatever's believable for them. That'll kind of thing that'll work. And he asks the doctor, what exactly. Oh yeah, she's like, oh, I'm the general witch hunter, and then she holds out the paper again, but it says witch hunter's assistant on it straight away. And I honestly didn't put two and two together, but I saw. I wish I could remember who wrote it exactly, but I can't. Someone did write a good article that was like, if it was any other doctor, male doctor, it would have just said general still. There wouldn't have been any who, what, where about. But because King James is like woman, general, that doesn't sound right. It's such a thing in his brain, like his brain just won't believe the fact that she could be the general witch hunter, full stop, that to make the paper actually work, it says assistant to make it believable for him. Which, like, it's a small detail, but at the same time, it's a pretty big detail.
Big thing.
Part of the episode. And this is what I mean when they're, they delve into this stuff slightly, but it's never overtly a part of the plot, I guess.
This is probably the most heavy they've got into, like, her being a female so far this season. Yeah, and we're 8 episodes in, so that's a fair bit of restraint, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be so easy just to be the first episode. Oh, she's a woman. Oh, nobody treats her with respect. Oh, they see her as a sex object, that kind of thing.
They've had a couple of comments with people not treating her as...
a couple of small things, but not like...
this much.
This one. Yeah.
But they could have made this the plot, I feel, for that. Like, they could have made... And it kind of is to a degree. Here's the thing. It is a main part of the plot, and we'll get to it in a little bit, obviously, where she's once again turned on and she's... goes on the witch trial herself and all these sorts of things, which is also...
She wouldn't have been thought... Nobody would have thought she was a witch if she was a man.
Yeah, none of this would have happened if it was the male doctor, of course. But yeah, so they do it, and I appreciate it, but at the same time, I feel like if they wanted to, they could have made it a more vocal and just easier to understand element of the episode, I suppose. But they've kind of left it as this... It's at such a point where kids watching the show, it's not a main part of the plot, so they're probably not going to notice or pick up on these sorts of things, or people too naive aren't going to really pick up on these sorts of things. Like, but it's very much there. You just have to be aware to click onto it, I guess. Yeah, is the thing. So yeah, but this is our first time where it's like, oh, that's never happened before. That is quite weird, and it is. They're making use. It seems weird to say making use, but they're doing stuff with the fact that she's female, that does make sense. You know, it doesn't feel weird, forced, or and he's like, oh, she's a woman. But it's like, yeah, that does actually make sense, and we've never had to really think about that. And whoever thought of that in the writing room for Doctor Who or whatever, it's pretty smart to be like, well, the paper would actually probably say, because he would be super sexist, and women in this time period.
The woman believed her, so
yeah, just probably.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. So they then King James decides he's going to head out with the rest of his people and Becca to rid the village of all the witches. By nightfall, we got to get rid of all of them. That's his big plan. And I mean, Graham and Ryan do try to keep him back, kind of at this stage, a bit of the hey, no, show us your next hat. Do something like that. We're gonna do what we need to do, but they head out, so they follow him. And the Doctor with Yaz then goes over to what was the name? Willa's. Thank you. They go talk to Willa at her house and go over. Who is she? What she do? Doctor's sonicking her, checking that there's nothing weird about her. There's nothing weird about her. Blah 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 blah. I suppose she's looking for signs like to do with the mud that she's heard so much about, I guess. And then they start talking to her about Becca Savage. I still like Savage. Okay, and we learn that she is actually related to her, and she's her second auntie cousin, something like
they're related.
They're related somehow, and she's pointing out that the fact that her mum used to work for Becca until recently, and of course we find out by the end of the episode she was helping her with her mud disease. What are we going to call it? Mud takeover or whatever. She was helping her.
Disease.
Yeah, mud disease. Yeah, sure.
Mud possession.
Mud possession. She was helping her with mud possession, but then when she wouldn't do what Becca wanted, which was to cut off her leg.
Yeah, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but it was they're just like, look, it is a kid's show, so we'll just there is an image of a woman with an axe, but we won't.
So the old mother's solution to her possession is you cut off the leg, stop the infection.
Yes. And
Becca wasn't on board with that idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. Especially back in those days. What else would you go to? Oh, your leg's infected. This shit won't go away.
Yeah, we just have to cut it off.
Gonna have to fucking chop it off.
Hey, would have solved the problem.
Yeah.
But no. My solution to everything is everybody's a witch.
Yeah. It's a solution is what it is. So and they had this whole falling out, and that's why we learned that later on. That's why Becca was doing, of course, what she was doing. Not because they were related. That's just kind of throw you off the trail a bit. So then the Doctor, Willa, Yaz, they all head down to the mud again where they was going to bury the old mother lady. And Doctor's looking over the mud, discovers that it says it's from alien orientation. Don't know how it got here, but it's here. And she puts a little bit in a tiny jar thing, and it starts bouncing around like fucking flubber or something like that, going all over the place inside this jar. Good, yeah. Oh, thanks. The accused, then the witch starts coming back to life. The accused witch, but the old mother lady, she starts coming back to life again, once in kind of quotation marks. She's coming back to muddy life. That's how
mud possessed.
Mud. She's mud. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I forgot. That's what I was calling it. She comes back mud possessed and holding her out, but she's
she's a mud puppet.
Oh my god, yeah, we'll use it. The mud puppets. Yeah, she's the first. The first mud puppet comes back, and she's kind of arms out, kind of. You can tell the Doctor can tell that she's after this tiny little bit of mud that apparently belongs to her, which I still found a little bit silly because I was like, out of all the fucking mud that's here, the Doctor manages to pick up the one tiny speck apparently that she needs to complete her body or whatever, I don't know. So she goes over to it, says, "Tell me who you are." Mud possession lady, mud puppet isn't the mud puppet isn't responding. Doctor decides to give it back, gives her back the mud, and then the camera kind of shows back that that's right. She swallows it like the thing out of Spirited Away.
Yeah.
How's that for another?
She had the glass and everything.
Yeah, got him. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the glass and everything. That's a bit sure that hurt. Then we get a bunch more mud puppets rise up around her.
Yeah.
Got this mud puppet horde of mud puppets now rising up. BBC, you can feel free to use our terms. It's fine. We won't even charge you. It's okay. And then we hear a scream as we cut back to King James and all them walking around, which I presume was Willa, because I can't see it being Yaz or the Doctor, of course. But we never saw anyone scream unless I blinked and missed a shot of Willa screaming. But
no.
Yeah, they hear it screaming, and of course they all run down to find the mud puppets all there. King James sends his sidekick Alfonso, who by the end of the episode we're going to come to say that it's not just his sidekick, it was his
side piece.
Yeah. Yeah, his side piece. It's true though, yeah. Alfonso to shoot, which I like that is Alfonso to shoot them. Of course, Alfonso. Look, I don't know how guns work in the 16th century, but like he was running in for about a 30 centimeter shot here. It seemed like, or something along those lines. Like he ran very fucking close to the mud puppets, and of course, because he gets so close, the mud puppets use their telekinetic powers or something. I don't really know. Anyway, they blast everybody backwards.
I know. I blinked and he was dead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he dies somehow. They all get blasted backwards. Well, pushed backwards, I guess. He gets blasted. Killed, I assume, somehow. The Force killed him. Then everyone runs away. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Good idea. See you later. Then they stop up ahead a bit and start discussing the fact that the monsters aren't actually the mud puppets aren't actually chasing them anymore after they've made their getaway. And they do the whole thing of like, oh, well, they're not following us, so we'll just go back around and see what they're up to now. Let's just someone swoop back, see what they're doing. That's always the smart thing. So out of all the people, and this is where I was like, why did those three have to go? Come on, couldn't it? But Ryan, Graham, and Yaz all head off to see what the mud puppets are up to, and then we get into the next scene of the Doctor being accused of everything because Becca accuses the Doctor of being a witch and in charge of everything after she saw her, quote, raising her wand. And then Willa responds by saying, I did find it weird that they called her the Doctor, which apparently the Doctor is, they connect it to meaning something to do with the Satan or something like that. Yeah.
Dr. D is what I'm pretty sure.
What is it though?
Dr. D.
What is
Dr.
it? Dr. Doom? Dr. Devil? What? Yeah. What is it? It's just the.
I guess.
Oh yeah, I don't really know, but so they get this whole backwards and forwards, and yeah, this is another scene where it's like, if the Doctor had been a male, this wouldn't have been an issue. No one would have been accusing. It would have been like, oh, you've got a wand. That's really weird, but you're obviously not a witch. So what magic?
No, they would have accused him of being the devil, but that's beside the point.
It would have been like, cool, bow down to me, all of you. I'll get you. I'll do what I need to do. But yeah, so this is where we this is where the paths really do. If it was any other Doctor to the current one, because any other Doctor wouldn't end up in the position that the current Doctor ends up in this episode, which is cool. You know, it means like you can do different things with the new Doctor than you could with the old one. Tell different sorts of stories. So they all backwards and forth. She's like, I'm not fucking blah, 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 blah. Of course, back and forth. And then, of course, she's arrested and taken off. And then she is tied up in the middle of the town on a tree. And King James asks about how her magic wand works as he's waving around. And I'm like, I'm just thinking, buddy, it's one button. Like, just point it at something, one button.
It just makes a sound.
It just makes a sound. You do stuff. There's really not much else to it. Just you do that. Press that button.
You get information off it somehow.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you don't get the information from it, but go open your door. Fuck. Oh, right. You all have wooden doors in this period. Damn. That's why it's not working. Damn. Go try it on your wooden your oven door there. Maybe see if the magic wand will work there. See how it goes. It's fine. We cut to Graham and Co, who are following the mud puppets along, and they're heading. They very much appear to be one-minded. Like, we're definitely heading somewhere. We're heading in a certain direction. We've got a plan. Yeah. We know where we're going. We are mud puppets, and we know what we're up to. We know the goal of which we need to go. Then we come back to the Doctor and
In
King
hindsight,
James.
this doesn't make sense.
Which part?
Why did they go to her room? Well, if I guess they thought she would be
It's to
there.
get the fucking axe, isn't it?
Why that axe?
My axe. I don't know. Maybe there's only one
Unless
axe
they
in the
needed it
village.
because that's the axe that she used.
Possibly. I mean, yeah, it is one thing that's just
I mean, they could have gotten any axe.
maybe.
Unless they just knew they didn't want to run the risk of searching around and being caught. They knew an axe was going to be in that room, so they went to that room.
Maybe smart, really. You don't know how long you have to walk to find a random axe in the 1600s.
That's true, yeah. Yes.
But I mean, now that you're pointing out, I didn't really think about it. I was like, you're all right. There's no other reason they go to that room other than if what you're saying, they were just expecting Becca to be there or whatever. Which, come on, it's the
And
middle
why
of the
would
day.
they expect her to be there?
Yeah, it's the middle of the day. She's not going to be there.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Go on, guys.
Which makes
You're
it
meant to
be
be some
like
fearsome alien race.
because dumb as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that means it must be just they went there to get the axe, and then if there ever was a plot point about they definitely need this axe because it has to be this one for whatever reason, that ended up on a deleted scene somewhere. You know, that was that didn't show up. So we go back to the Doctor, and the Doctor ends up giving it to King James, and accusing him of being evil. Within him, blah 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 blah. He argues, I'm doing God's work. I'm very happy. I'm a merry man. I'm, there's no evil inside me. All these sorts of things. And the Doctor's like, you're doing all this. You're killing. Blah 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 blah. And then she brings up his mother abandoning him at 1 years old, and the for a split second, it looks like she's kind of turned the tides. Yeah. This is the most serious. Well, I say serious in quotation. It's the most dramatic piece of acting, I suppose, emotional part that Alan Cumming had to do in this episode. Because after this, he's back to just very fun, loud version of King James I. But it was this. There was like 30 seconds here of where he's contemplating about his mother and being a good person and all this sorts of stuff, where he does actually give a emotional response to what the Doctor's saying. So thought that was nice. Doesn't really last long though. It's also funny because he's like, how do you know all this? It's like, because you're being a witch. You don't need to question. I mean, just witch, you know everything. How dare you? But yeah, it doesn't really work out because eventually King James is just like, guards, get her. And then as soon as I heard him say that, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Witch trial coming up.
Damn.
Fresh off the plate. He's did one this morning. You don't want to save her for another day. Fucking bring everyone out of the village again. They've just sat down for supper. Get out of your huts. Got another witch trial happening. Happens twice a day apparently these days. They're just freaking not non-stop. Don't want to stop. We cut back to Graham and co. Also, it's worth pointing out that if Graham's in a group of people, it is going to be Graham and co, because Graham is the leader and he's the smartest of whoever's Graham's the best.
Include when he's with the Doctor?
Yeah. It's just, the show's called Graham.
Okay, interesting.
Look, okay. They've followed the mud puppets back a little bit. They're heading off again. It's like, where are they going? I mean, they got an axe. They're probably going to kill someone. Let's assume. Like, keep following. Do you want to stop them? No, it's fine. We'll keep going. So then the doctor's being tied up to the dunking tree, rod, whatever they refer to it as, ducking tree. Which weirdly, the Doctor, as she's trying to talk to Becca and be like, why are you doing this? There's something up. You wouldn't do this. Like, there's obviously a secret, which of course there is. There's obviously a secret to this. Why are you going about it all? She touches the tree and the tree zaps her, I guess. Like, it's an electronic kind of charge thing that happens, I guess is the way to describe it. Which of course...
So is that tree, that branch from the tree that she chopped down?
That's what I assumed it was.
So weird.
Yeah. There's a lot of little details like this that are just up to you to kind of to pick together, because even when they get into a history here in a moment and they're like, the tree was in the way, so I went out there and I went to chop it down. She hits it once and the mud infects her and blah blah blah. They never cover if she goes back and finishes cutting down the tree, but I guess we just assume because the tree's
Well,
at this.
she must have. No. Yeah, she did because they showed.
Oh yeah, because they show it later when that's the log there, but they never cover it. You kind of have to put the A to B to C together. You know, there's no.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, the dumping tree, the ducking, whatever, dunking tree, dunking. Yeah, that's the word. The dunking tree reacts to her touch. Also, was presumably only put together after she got infected and she started going on a rampage of witch trials. So we're going to assume that if she only put it together after that, I need a tree that would make. Oh, I've got one right over there. That one will work out quite nice. It's a big tree that used to annoy me, so I'll use that. So yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like put the pieces together yourself. So yeah, Doctor's been tried up to it, and then Becca is just awaiting King James's call after she has tied up the Doctor to the tree. It's like, I'm going to dunk you here, duck you. What words dunking is? It's a good one. King James put out his call, and King James has this. For a couple of seconds, it looks like he's really contemplating it as the Doctor kind of gives him a stern staring, like you read my thoughts kind of thing. And it looks like he's looking at Doctor kind of contemplating it for a while, but of course then he says, do it, go, do what you need to do, put her in, do it. And right as he says that, of course, Graham and Co turn up and they all start. They don't really start screaming. They don't scream out, no. They just straight away know Becca ain't going to do shit. We need to start sucking up to King James.
We need to convince, yeah.
And Ryan, he's on it like a champ. He's straight away over there. He's there with the soft whispers. Mate.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of the situation.
He's not yelling at him, though. Like, you fucking better. But he's just like,
yeah.
I mean, not that he would say that word on Doctor Who anyway. They don't have swear words in case you haven't noticed. But
yeah.
He's just like, you should really let it go. Like, mate, come on. Like, this is not the way to go about it at all. And
yeah,
love you, baby.
Give him the smoldering look.
Just look me. Hello, how are you? This is where King James fell in love with Ryan. Is what it turns out to be. So they were trying to again raise up the tree. Eventually, King James says, that's enough. Becca responds, no, it's not being enough. That's enough. Eventually, they do get it raised back up, and lo and behold, Doctor has disappeared from the chains like fucking Houdini.
She's a witch.
Yeah, well, it's like, well, what a way to prove you're a witch. Just disappear from within the chains.
Well, like she says at the end of the episode, science is just something. I don't know. Advanced science. You can't tell advanced science from magic, or whatever the quote is.
Yeah, I like the quote much better. At science is whatever. So the Doctor washes up on the end of the shore though, and she kind of walks out and says, Houdini taught me, like, I'm able to hold my breath for a long time. Houdini taught me a trick, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a witch. And they're all like, yeah, I've heard of him. It's fine. Yeah, Houdini. I know that guy. It's fine. Move on. The mud monsters then turn up, and they appear to be after Becca. See, once again, with the axe, we've got the axe.
Yeah.
Ash. The axe. There is no other axe that could be used. We've now determined.
It had to be that one.
It had to be.
They just lucked out and found her.
Also, yeah, that's also. Well, I mean, look, to be honest, they're like, we're looking for Becca. They're knocking on doors.
They stopped and questioned people.
Yeah, they're knocking on doors. Hello, where the mud Muppets?
No, they're holding up the axe like it's. Oh, do you know who owns this axe?
We're looking for the owner.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's Becca's axe. Fine axe.
Yeah, it's like, where do you reckon we can find her? It's about 12:30. Probably doing a witch trial. Might want to head back. Oh yeah, that's fine. We'll probably go have a look see. Oh, lucky, that's where she is.
So they're just going the whole time. Yeah,
sounding like fucking Shaun the Dead zombies is what they're sounding like.
Yeah.
Becca, but as they're all approaching her, Becca does say, stop or whatever, and stop or don't or something, and they obey her word. Stop. They all stop. Then the Doctor, of course, is just like, wait, what the hell's going on? They obey you. Please explain. And
she's a witch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Australia, King James is also like, King James, when you think about it, this whole episode, he's just like, he's like the fucking Oprah Winfrey gif for you're a witch, you're a witch, you're a witch. It's like, you're a witch, you're a witch, you're a witch, you're a witch. And by the end of the episode, he's like, no, that person was actually the witch, burns him. Oh, job done. Only accused like 20 people to get there, but.
So more like Donald Trump.
Yeah. King James is like Donald Trump.
Makes 20 wrong mistakes and then wants something slightly right. And
yeah, and he's like, that's why you fucking elected. Oh wait, they didn't elect me. I was just born into it. It's fine. Donald Trump was born into his position as well, kind of anyway.
Relevant.
Yeah, got him. So yeah, then we get our whole flashback thing, which we kind of touched over before about how Becca got infected. She woke up one morning and was like, holy fuck, I've got about 90% of a great view of the sky and green grass, but there's one fucking tree there that's really annoying me for some reason, you know?
Yep.
That's
relatable.
Really, it was one tree. The view's the exact same.
It was bringing her real estate value down.
What, from $50 to...
I would have got like 3 more gold for her house.
Yeah.
It's a very relatable story in the property world. I've read stories of people like poisoning trees and stuff so they can get a better view of the ocean and stuff.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Right. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm wrong. I don't know. Well,
and then the council planted more trees just to... There's a few.
Real estate world is ruthless, and that's what this episode is about. It's not about sexism, misogyny, and dumping women into the ocean because they spoke too much, which is the line we missed before, where Becca does actually say, "You know why the dumping tree was created? To silence women who talk too much." It's like, take that, doctor.
But no, it's about real estate.
Yeah, but the doctor's like, "I like talking. Fuck you." But now we do know the episode is actually just about real estate. Thank you. I'm glad we cleared that all up. Yeah, so she's like, this tree needs to go, and just has her breakfast, marches out there with an axe, like begins cutting it down. A little bit of the mud starts coming out of the tree or whatever, infects her leg, and then she turns to the old lady woman from start episode, Willa's mum, to get her help. She tries to help her. We get to the point where she tries to cut off her leg. It's like, because the mud infection won't go away. It seems like she was given some medicine that was helping like keep it at bay. Maybe was that?
Yeah,
I was gathering that was kind of what was happening. She's like, take this. This will help. And it seems like she was taking all sorts of medicines. It was kind of keeping the infection from taking over her body fully, but it wasn't obviously going away.
Probably. She's like, I don't need to take it today.
Yeah, no,
I'm busy.
Yeah, I'm busy doing witch trials.
This medicine is so expensive. Piece of bronze. Can't afford it.
It's hard life out there. Hard life for a witch hunter. So she then the old mother, her solution is cut off the leg, get rid of the thing, which probably would have saved her. Surely.
Maybe.
I like to think.
If the tiny bit of mud or whatever was it put into her body was just contained to her leg, then
surely. But she fucked it up.
Her leg would have turned into a mud monster, but it would have been fine.
That's fine. It's only a leg. Chuck it in the ocean. It's fine. Get rid of it. So then the old lady mother gets, told, fuck off, don't cut my leg off. And then to silence her because she knows so much, Becca decides to put her on trial for being a witch. And that's where the episode started, of course. We've all looked around. We all know what's going back now. Back to the current day time.
I will point out, it's interesting. I haven't really seen many in these sort of witch trial things. I haven't seen many females being the lead of like the witch trials. It's always like a dude.
Usually, yeah. I mean, it probably was in real life too. I just feel like they.
Yeah. It's for story purposes.
Yeah, I think for story purposes, it was just more interesting to have it be a woman, I guess. But that's fine. I mean, the villain is an alien by the end of the episode. It's not actually a witch.
But it's just another story about women being their own worst enemies. Just women hating women. Bring all of them down.
Take that out of context and clip it out and put that way you feel necessary, I guess. So Becca gets taken over by the mud disease thing, and she becomes the mud puppet leader. No, well, general, I guess, because she still wants to bring back the leader. She's like mud puppet 2IC is what she is, as far as I could gather. One who's smart enough to be able to talk is the main important thing. So she gets taken over. Becca's no longer there. She's taken over Becca's body, and she's talking, blah blah blah. Explains that they're the Morax, I think is how the Morax is how they said it, which is a group of aliens that were stuck underground to ages ago, presumably by someone, and they were being kept in a prison there. And when Becca cut the tree was the lock or key or whatever, lock seal, keeping them all inside.
It's a pretty terrible lock.
Yeah, because she didn't even need to cut the whole fucking tree down to get the lock deactivated. All she did was chip it, and the lock was broke.
Yeah, need something a bit more sturdy.
Fucking futuristic alien tech. Yeah, we can bury prisoners on a planet we don't live on underground with the worst fucking lock ever in history, though.
What if a fire or some lightning had hit it?
Yeah, exactly. This episode's terrible. Too many plot holes. 0 out of 10.
Just lazy engineering. Lazy prison planning.
Yeah. The alien race aren't good prison planners. So they knock everyone back using their telekinetic powers or whatever we saw in Muse before, and everyone gets knocked the fuck out. And when they all wake up, everyone's still there. They didn't bother killing them all. They're like, no, it's fine. We'll just knock them out. Everything will be okay. We'll take King James.
We'll kill yours later when we enslave you.
Yeah. But their plan is to take King James and take him to the lock tree thing, and then release their leader from it and have the leader take over King James's body, and then they're going to presumably rule the planet, I guess, is the...
Rule England.
United
Kingdom.
When they all wake up, Graham gives the Doctor the hat. That's worth pointing out, of course. The Doctor now has the hat at this point. And they work up a plan. They're like, we're gonna go. We're going to save King James. We're going to stop the takeover. We're going to stop the Morax. We're going to do it. We've got fucking pitchforks and lights and fire, all sorts of stuff. We'll go for it. Who's with us? Willa's with us. Sure, let's do it. Let's go kick some ass. So they'll head off, and they head up to where the tree is, and somehow they haven't yet. I mean, this thing. How long were they knocked out for? Surely by the time they wake up, it's like they could have put this. They could have put this person in King James's body, but apparently not.
I mean, they're pretty slow, to be fair. They left Becca's room first. But Ryan and Yaz and Graham and Co got there first. So which trials first? So
that's true.
They're not very fleet-footed.
They're not very fleet-footed.
They did have to ask us directions, so could have been a little bit of willy way, but
so the Morax leader is releasing another piece of mud, and it's a very big piece of mud. This isn't like the tiny fiber piece we was talking about before. This is like a mud spray flying up in the air. And it's up and it's about, and it doesn't just dive into King James's body. It's taking its sweet fucking time about it, giving the Doctor and everyone and friends enough time to turn up and put a stop to the whole thing as it's about to happen. And the Doctor reactivates. Of course, Becca's like, "No, get back. We'll stop you." All blah blah blah. Doctor's like, just walks up to the tree, no trouble at all. No one really tries to stop her, and she reactivates the lock, which then begins sucking back all the Morax people out of the bodies, out of all the dead bodies, as well as Becca and whoever else. Except for, as everyone's left, Becca's the only mud puppet left standing there. And instead of just, presumably, if they waited, she would have just got, surely she would have just got, re-prisoned as well. But he can't wait. And King James, of course, walks up and sets fucking fire to her, and then goes, "How good am I? How good am I?
Got rid of the witch."
Got rid of it. Of course, the Doctor at this point is quite pissed off. You can tell as she shoves the hat back on him, and then it's like, blah, 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 "You didn't need to do that, blah, 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 blah." And then we cut to the next morning where King James is accompanying him back to the TARDIS as they're walking along to there. And King James is asking Graham for help to talk to the Doctor, saying, "Can't you get her to talk?" It's quite funny, really. It was like, "Can't you get her to... Can't you get her to talk to me?" But Doctor isn't having it. Doctor is like, "You burnt that lady to death using your stick for unnecessary reasons. You didn't really need to do that." They get to the TARDIS. Of course, he's like, "What is this box? Bit weird." It's about to get very weird to King James. Little does he know. But then King James explains that he will forget that about witch hunts I guess they're trying to say at this stage this is when the witch trials stop all over England. I don't really know how it works out time-wise. And he would never speak about what's happened here today. And he even goes as far as to say he's going to wipe the name Bill Bilehurst Cragg off of all the maps in history, which explains why Graham had never read about it in his witch books while doing the bus route, which I don't know if is canon, but we're presuming it is at this stage.
Yeah.
It's fine. I can add it in. And then another funny part was as they pile into the TARDIS, Graham quotes Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson saying, if you do not blah blah blah, bring furious anger down upon you, blah blah blah. That famous Pulp Fiction line.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by inequities of the selfish and tyranny of evil men.
Yeah, I didn't write fast enough to catch what all I wrote was Pulp Fiction quote.
Yeah, and you remember the end bit. I'll lay my vengeance down on you.
Yeah, I'll lay furious vengeance down upon you. To which King, this actually made me laugh out loud. Because just the response King James responds with is he just goes Ezekiel, and then Graham goes Tarantino and closes the door.
Yep.
I was like, we got a Tarantino. Yeah, we got a Tarantino joke reference in a Doctor Who episode, which is pretty funny. And also the fact that quote is bullshit. Like in the Pulp Fiction, he's like Ezekiel 3:16 or whatever he says, but it's not a real quote. It's just written for the movie, which is another funny thing. So I don't know if it's based on a real quote, but the fact that King James is like Ezekiel, it's like it's fake. Tarantino wrote it for the movies. Not a real thing. Not a real thing at all. So what are we gonna rate this week's villain, the Morax?
I don't know, maybe like a 6. They're fine.
Yeah.
We all know the real villain of this week.
Yeah, what do you... Is it sexism again? Because sexism's been up a few times, or...
Yeah, I guess. Or self-preservation.
Self-preservation
was the real villain this week.
The real villain. Here's another thing I've kind of noticed by the time we've reached the end of this... every time we reach the end of an episode of Doctor Who this season, the villain is never really the real villain, is the thing. It's always like, oh yeah, the Morax. They were imprisoned, but at the same time, who was the real villain?
Yeah, the real villain was religious extremism.
There you go. Got him. Solved. 100%. I think I'll give them a 6 out of 10. They were fine. They were scary enough. They were okay. They weren't super exciting, but they weren't super boring at the same time, I guess.
Yeah.
They're fine. But hero of the episode, King James I, Alan Cumming, much better. That's the hero. We've never really given a hero of the episode. I'm not saying he was a hero. I'm not saying King James is the hero. Alan Cumming is the hero. Just want to...
Alan Cumming is the hero.
Alan Cumming is the hero of this episode. So, any closing thoughts in this week's episode before we wrap it up, Ash?
No, it was good. I think it was probably Jodie Whittaker's best episode so far. I think she had a lot to do.
You think it is? Compared to some of the more serious episodes that we've had this season?
I feel like I think she had a lot of good moments in this. But yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I think. I really like the episode. It's probably in my top. I reckon it's in top 4. We're at 8 episodes, right?
Yeah, so top 4.
I reckon I'll chuck it into my top 4 quite easily. But
top half.
Yeah, it's definitely in the top half. It's definitely not in the bottom half. If you watch this show, we know which episodes are the worst. To be fair,
there's 7 good episodes and 1 terrible episode. So
yeah, there's only been 1 terrible episode this whole season, so it's fine. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But I would have preferred a lot more if they'd gone a little bit harder, a little bit more just it's out in the open what the theme of the episode is, I guess. More so like the episode 2 episodes ago that I can't remember the name of Pakistan, India, coalition, whatever thing. And then the Rosa episode. Because both those episodes...
Demons of Punjab.
Yep. I would have preferred it just to be more, because both those episodes aren't playing around, They're very much here's what the topic is, here's what we're doing. It's right here in front of you. This one kind of mixed it, where it was we have a theme, which we're kind of tackling the misogynistic elements and the sexist elements of the witch trials and what's happening. But at the same time, we've got Alan coming. Hey, it's really fun. And it kind of just felt like classic Doctor Who episode, I feel. It was just like, oh, it's a fun adventure. At the same time, there are elements here for you to look into if you want to delve into them, but you don't have to. But yeah, we only have 2 episodes of Doctor Who left. So I want to make a quick note before we end this week's episode that next week's episode will be late. I don't have the exact date. It'll either go up like a day before the finale airs, or we'll just do it back to back. Time is yet to be seen. Something like that. But we only have 2 episodes left. As I was saying before, still a little bit like iffy because I'm like, I would have liked another sign of what the finale villain.
You want to feel like the whole season has got like a continued thread.
Well,
it is climaxing at towards the finale, but I don't think it's.
But you know why I keep bringing it up, and it's solely because of that episode 2, which is the worst episode of the season. But it's still, they brought back and mentioned those fucking aliens from the first episode.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just grabbing these theories out of.
No, yeah. And that was the only time that something is carried over to another episode.
Yeah, but it's like, if they're not going to bring them back and have that be the season finale element, why the fuck are they? Why was that even in the second episode, you know? I feel like it should have just been left out if they're not going to random. Like, if we get to the season finale and they haven't brought them back or mentioned or done anything, I'm just going to look at that second episode like, why was that mentioned? Why was that even a thing? Why did that happen? It's just going to feel
the second episode was bad, and
well, that second episode was also just completely really, really weird. So anyway, thank you for watching this week's episode of Fish, Fingers and Custard. If you're listening on the podcast, watching on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you want to watch it, do it about it, how you want to go about it. If you want to watch it live, it's recorded live, twitch.tv/Explosion Network. If you want to find out when we're recording it, make sure you follow us on Twitter at ExplosionPod, where we'll post that when it's going live. Or, of course, just refresh our Twitch page where you'll see the event eventually pop up and say this is when the episode's going to be recorded. You can watch the video on YouTube, youtube.com/Explosion Network, where the episode is posted, or you can listen to it on all your great podcasting services, be that Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or insert other ones here. Review the episode on Apple Podcasts. It's really great. Give it 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars is too low. Don't go lower than that. This is not episode 2. This is episode 4 quality. 8 quality. Sure, yeah. Just 4 or 5 stars. Do what you need to do.
Okay, yeah.
You can follow Ash on Twitter at Ashley Hobby, ASHLEYHABLEY. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaldil, VIVALADIL. And make sure you head on over to explosionnetwork.com to keep up with all our other great, fantastic, million-to-one content. It's all the good stuff. Until next week, what is this week's signing off phrase, Ash? Hit me with something.
Did you know King James became King of Scotland at age 13 months? And then became King of England after Elizabeth I, who we mentioned earlier in the episode, died childless because the doctor never came back and had children with her.
Look at you. You're like the Graham.
It all ties together, man.
You're the Graham. Bye.